All right. Well, welcome back, guys. I know that nobody's really entered in here yet, but I know that some people will probably be in here pretty soon. So, I'm sorry that I had to start a little bit late. I had a couple of chores that I needed to do. So, today we're going to be doing actually a really cool common card that I'm really happy about. This is the Kiln Fiend. A lot of you might know it pretty well because it's an extremely powerful common card. Very powerful. We're talking about like top notch, you know, grab first as soon as you possibly can. Oh, hey, Death the Kid. Glad to see you in here. Wow, you got in here quick, man. Good to see you. So yeah, I picked a Kiln Fiend. And like I said, this is a very high level, top notch kind of common card. This is one of those common cards where, like, it's a first pick kind of card practically. It's a real powerhouse. It's very common to play it in burn decks and blue red decks, all sorts of different kinds of decks that absolutely abuse this guy. He's so strong. For anybody who happens to have never seen a Kiln Fiend before, it's a 2-mana red elemental beast, and it says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Kiln Fiend gets +3/+0 until end of turn, and it is a 1/2. So this guy is very, very strong. I even have it in a couple of different decks as well because of how incredibly powerful it is. This one in particular, I only have like maybe 1 or 2 copies of the original Kiln Fiend, which is from the very first Zendikar block. I think it was in the second set, not the first one. I can't remember the name of it. I don't think it was Rise of the Eldrazi. I think it was maybe, oh geez, I can't even remember the name of the set. Well, I do have a few of them, but as you can see, this one in particular is from Iconic Masters. You guys might notice that I actually, this is the second Iconic Masters card that I have begun to paint. And the reason for that is, I think I've mentioned it before, but I have a lot of Iconic Masters, which is, that's not exactly something worth bragging about. But I was very lucky to get a box of Iconic Masters for free, which is the reason why I have so much Iconic Masters. I got it as a gift from my sister. She sent me a whole bunch of money, and she was like, here's a ton of money, spend it on whatever you want. And I was like, I'm going to buy a box of Iconic Masters. And that was before I really knew how sad and big of a mess Iconic Masters was. But, I mean, I don't really regret buying it. I got a lot of cool things out of it, and even though it was a big, gigantic dumpster fire, I'm pretty okay with what I got. I was also lucky enough to actually get a foil Kiln Fiend as well, which is put away. I think I have it in my Power Cube. So that's where I keep a lot of my foils that I own. I keep it inside my Power Cube to show off. But this is just a regular old run-of-the-mill Kiln Fiend from Iconic Masters. As I've been doing for the last couple of live streams, it's already primed up. So the primer's all set. I was actually having an interesting bit of a struggle with this primer. The main issue I was having was when I was mixing my primer, I accidentally had my brush really wet. So some of the paint was a bit watery. So it was a bit of a trick to kind of get it all spread out and relatively nice looking as it is right now. So the thing is that Kiln Fiend is kind of really interesting art. I actually don't think that it is the most spectacular looking art. I think it's relatively, I wouldn't say it's bland. I would describe it as just, I don't know, run-of-the-mill kind of. It's very in your face. It's very obvious what it is. There's nothing really particularly spectacular about the art. But it is nice. I mean, when you look at it, you feel like, I would almost say that it looks exactly like what it's supposed to be on the card. So, it's just very average its art is very average for what it is, which is really kind of interesting because I will give it this. I will say that there is one particular thing I like about the art is that it looks very intimidating, but it also doesn't look like it's that dangerous on the surface. But you can tell with how the flames are done in the art, you feel like that if it were to get hotter for some reason, it would probably get out of control or eventually become a problem. So I will give the art that. I almost feel like that it might even be, how would I describe it? It might even be that it's a good thing that the art is the way that it looks, because it gives you this sort of unassuming feeling of, oh, it looks scary and intimidating, but it doesn't look like it would be a problem until you really light it on fire or something like that. Hey, Rebecca. Yeah, glad to have you back. Welcome to the stream. Today we're painting a kiln fiend. So I'm so glad you guys are here, Death the Kid and Rebecca. Thank you guys for showing up. Like I said, I am trying to create a regular schedule, sort of. I had to start this stream a little late. I've been trying to kind of get them started around 2 to 3, and it's almost 4 o'clock now that I'm starting this. I had a couple of things I had to do before I started this stream, which made me a little delayed on it. But, here I am. I am, in fact, going to do this, and let's just jump right into it. So there is, I swear that this is starting to become the bane of my existence. For my day off, I get to stay the whole time. Cool, Rebecca. Well, definitely kick it. Hang around with us, and you can see how the progress comes together as we go along. I'm really glad to have you here. So I was beginning to say the bane of my existence, I'm starting to think, is the color brown. I seem to be 7 p.m. Okay, well, just kick it, relax, and lay back, and maybe this will be a nice, relaxing stream that you can, chill out to, and when you're ready for bed, you go to bed, and you're all good to go, But glad to have you here. Glad to have you guys here. So I've been doing a lot of cards that have a lot of brown, and that is completely unintentional. I promise you that it was not my intention to grab all these cards that have brown. I am not the biggest fan of having to cover everything in brown, but it seems like a lot of these cards are asking of me to cover lots and lots of brown. So as you can see here, there is a lot of rock formations. So there's going to be a lot of brown, obviously. I will try to kind of contrast it with yellow and red, because it looks like as if this kiln fiend is basically giving off a large amount of light that is kind of reflecting off of the rocks, which will be kind of fun to play with. I also find it interesting down here at the bottom how they kind of give this rock on the lower level that he's standing on sort of this interesting reddish glow. So that kind of tells me that I'll be able to do some pretty fun things with the color red in this particular painting. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. I'm going to set this aside for a second, and I'm going to bring up my palette. So I don't really have any colors on here yet, so we're going to have to start with some brand new colors. I have some white here, some black, and my gray is starting to die. So I'm not going to be using gray. I don't think I'll need any gray at all for this. So let's go ahead and get some red started. Actually, I'm going to have to do some blue too. I'm going to have to do red, yellow, and blue because we're going to be doing a lot of brown. All these old puppy hairs I have on my palette. Okay, so we're going to start with a dab of red. Just a little bit here. There we go. That's a pretty good amount, I'd say. Might be a little too much, but we'll see what we get, how it works out for us. So I got my red, and I'm going to now set up my yellow. It's actually interesting. I'm almost out of yellow, so today, that was one of the things I had to do before I started this stream, was I had to go out to Walmart and buy some new paints. I actually bought, even though I only really need one, I needed yellow because my yellow is almost completely empty. I actually went and bought also some blue. And the reason why is because I've had this conversation with Braden a couple times, and I've also brought it up in the stream here and there as well. This ultramarine color, it's a real problem, mostly because I've had to talk about the Phthalo green a lot and bring up why it's so useful. And a lot of the Phthalo green that I'm using, it's because this ultramarine causes me so many problems when I'm trying to get a bluish green color. So what I did was when I was picking up my yellow paint, I also looked through the blue as well. And when I was looking through the blue, they only had two selections. They had more ultramarine, but they also had I believe it was called, like the label literally said dark blue. And I'm like, thanks, guys, for the proper description of what this blue is. Apparently, it's a blue that is dark, you know? And that's kind of ridiculous because I would actually describe ultramarine as dark blue. So, but they wanted to make it very clear in the selection there was a significant difference between ultramarine and dark blue. And I've never really experimented with the dark blue before. In fact, if I remember correctly, when I picked out my ultramarine originally, it was because the dark blue was out of stock, or all the other blues were out of stock. So I said to myself, you know what, these paints are relatively cheap. I'm at Walmart picking these up. So, you know, I don't mind throwing down an extra $2 to pick up this quote unquote dark blue. So when I get a little, what I'll probably do is I probably won't do it on stream because I trust this ultramarine. I know what it can do, and I know I've used it so much that I'm comfortable with how it functions, and I know where I have to make up for where it's lacking. So I'll probably mess around with the quote-unquote dark blue, probably off-stream, and, you know, I'll probably test it on a couple of cards in my own free time off-stream, and if I really like what I see from it, I'll probably just completely replace the ultramarine with the dark blue that I bought. But that's something to be messed around with in the future. I'm not going to worry about that right now. So we're just going to stick to our ultramarine for now. And the ultramarine's probably not even going to come up that often for this. The ultramarine looks like a darker sapphire blue to me. You're probably right. You're probably right, Rebecca. Like I said, I'd have to experiment with it. And the only reason why I keep buying the ultramarine is simply because I've had so much... I've literally been using ultramarine since I first started painting back in 2017. So I really know the ins and outs of the ultramarine. And adding in this new dark blue that I've acquired, I'm not really sure how it's going to play with the other colors. I got to make sure it plays nice with other colors before I start using it on a regular basis. So that's just going to require some experimentation. But like I said, I'll worry about that later. So how we're going to start this is I'm going to first... How should I generally will, you know what, I'll go ahead and grab this blue. I'll grab a nice big chunk of it because I'm probably going to be using most of this blue just to make this brown color that I'm about to get started into. So let's go ahead and put it right there. Wipe that off. And I'm going to wet the brush, and now I'm going to go for some red to mix in. And right off the bat, that's going to give us a very dark purple color. That's the first thing we're going to see. Because that's just what happens when you mix red and blue. You get dark purple. So let's go ahead and grab some of this. I'm going to try and be kind of careful with how much of this red I use, but I do need a good size of it. And I don't want to use too much of the red yet because there's a lot of red in this particular painting. So we're going to try and be very careful with relatively sparse with how we use this red because I want it to last for a while and do a bunch of different things. So I'm wetting the brush again, drying it off on my paper towel. I'm going to give it a second dip because some of the paint's still stuck to it, which happens sometimes. And now I'm going to go for my yellow. Just like a nice, pretty decent size of yellow here. And based on the way that this yellow came out, it kind of gave like a... Like, my yellow has been exploding on me whenever I use it, which generally means when it's kind of popping and pushing large amounts of it out of control. That generally means that it's at the very end of the tube. And I have noticed, I've looked at it a couple times, and it's very low. So that was why I needed to go and pick up some new yellow today at the Walmart. So that's it's good that I got that. And what was really interesting is that, I don't know, like, I went to the normal paint section that I always go to get my paints. And a lot of the paints were similar, like they had a lot of like watercolors and things like that. But when I went to the acrylic section, I actually noticed that the normal brand of paints that I use, which is called System 3, the cheaper paints that I use, System 3, they didn't have any on display. So I actually had to purchase some paints that I've never used before. It's a brand that I've never used before. Which, I mean, it's probably fine. I'm going to assume that it's probably on the same scale and quality as these ones are. But I don't actually know if they're going to really act or work the same way. I have learned that some paints act a little differently than others. Like, I've actually noticed, interestingly, that, like, my high-quality paints, like let's see, what is this stuff called? This stuff is called Autriche. Utrecht, something like that. I don't know how to pronounce that. Utrecht, I guess. Um, the Utrecht paints I've noticed kind of have this interesting oily consistency to it, like it's oily. And these System 3 paints are not quite so oily. And, even though, like, for example, when I'm using the Patholo Green, when I mix that with the other quality paints, I've never had an issue with it. It seems to mix just fine. Like, it doesn't seem like there's an issue with the oil or anything like that. It doesn't seem like it's causing any problems. So, I mean, I'm probably going to be okay with using this new brand of paint. I just don't know how nicely the colors are going to work with each other. So that's going to be something I'm going to have to experiment with. So I'm going to be right away jumping into the brown here. I'm going to throw up the Kiln Fiend again. And I'm going to wet my little brush and wipe it off. And I'm just going to go ahead and immediately get right into this brown. And I'm actually going to go for the darker side because I know that the brown that I've created is probably pretty dark, but I'm not exactly sure how it's going to look against the rest of this card yet. So I like to kind of start on the darker side because if it's light, if it's too light, then that's easy to fix. But if it's too dark and it's on a lighter side, that's generally going to be a bigger problem. So I'm picking this side first, and I'm kind of just trying to spread it out a bit. Just kind of nice and easy. It seems like I don't need to add too much of it. But one of the things that I'm noticing is that this particular brown that I've made seems to be creating these weird little streaks. And I think that I'm just going to have to kind of do a few different layers to really get those streaks out of the way. Because I'm not the biggest fan of streaks in my paintings. I try my best to not have them, but it does happen sometimes. So sometimes you just have to, one of the things I've learned is that you can overcompensate when you're getting a lot of streaks in your paint, that you can just add more color. Like if you let it dry a little bit and then add more to it, it'll help deal with the problem of having lots and lots of streakiness in your color. So I'm just kind of spreading it out. I'm not trying to really dip too much. I'm kind of noticing that one of the issues is that my brush seems to be really wet. And I'm wondering if that might be an issue with my paper towel, because I've used this paper towel a few different times. And sometimes if I use a paper towel way, way too much, it'll retain a lot of water. Hey, Cloud Brooks, welcome to the stream. Good to see you, dude. I'm doing just fine. I decided to hop into this stream. Today we're working on a Kiln Fiend, which is a very powerful card. I've played with it plenty. And based on the amount of times that I've played with it, I can definitely say I do enjoy this card a lot for its power level. I was actually mentioning how the art is a little, I don't know. It's hard to say whether or not the art is truly appropriate for this card. I feel like it is, but at the same time, something about it doesn't feel right to me. I'm never really sure what that is. It's very, like, I don't want to say bland. I really don't want to say bland. It's got this very, like, I feel like a way to describe it is that it's so obvious and in your face of what it is that kind of makes it a bit of a less interesting piece of art. Like it's very just obvious, and that kind of makes me feel weird about the art in general. It's too zoomed in. Maybe that might be it. I don't know. I don't know if the problem is that it's zoomed in too much. Hey, Serta, what's up? My face? What about my face? Come at me, bro. You want to fight? You want to fight about it? You want to fight about my face? How you doing, Twinsy? All right. I mean, I'm okay with the art. It's just that I don't know. It's just not my favorite. But at the same time, I can appreciate the art for what it is, because when you look at it, you can really say to yourself, like when you look at it, you say, yup, that's a Kiln Fiend. Like, if I were to ever imagine what a Kiln Fiend is, that's probably what it would look like, you know? But there's just something about it that is not exactly my favorite for the art in particular. The card is fine, though. Totally fine. So, yeah, I'm just kind of putting in this brown. There's probably going to be a lot of brown on this card, kind of like when we did the core sanctifiers. That had a lot of brown in it as well. And I'll probably be trying to add some different shades, as well as kind of trying to define the rock formations as well, so that it's a little less boring and a little more interesting. But you know, there's only so much you can do with you know, bland brown colors. You know, like you can add a lot to it that's not already there, but you also don't want to distract what the art piece actually is. So I kind of have to be careful with that as well, and that can happen sometimes. I've definitely done that kind of art before, where something can just be a little, like I'll add a detail and it's just a little too distracting, and then I'll have to figure out a way to kind of make the details less distracting. But for right now, I think this is fine. I'm going to kind of just overlap this area with brown, but I'm also going to try to cut it right here, because it seems like that's where about the rock ends right there. Just like that. And I'm going to now... I really like how this brown came out. It looks just fine. The one thing I am noticing is that I might need some black to kind of darken it in certain spaces. But that'll be something I'll be concerned about a little bit later. So now I'm going to take this same brown, and I'm going to bring it over onto this side right over here, because that's also about the same color. Hold on a second. I'm going to take another... I got a water bottle, and I'm going to take a swig of it because I am very thirsty today. It's very hot in my room. It's a pretty hot day today. All right, well, all my water's gone, so if I get thirsty again, I'm going to have to go grab some in a little bit. Hopefully that won't be for a while, though. Yeah, so I'm just going to kind of add a little bit more of this dark brown, just kind of off here on the sides, adding it alongside these rocky ledges. And what's actually interesting is that I actually like how the rock formations are kind of done over here on the sides. It looks like my brush is a little bit too wet. I've been having these weird... I think it's my paper towel. I'm going to have to throw away... Because, here, let me go ahead and show you. This is my gnarly paper towel. I've literally been using it in every single stream that I've had. So, it's getting pretty gross, and I might have to throw it away after this one. And I think that's also causing problems for my colors. No central air or window AC. I do actually have an air conditioner. This apartment complex is very good for that, but I am very stubborn. When it comes to AC, my electric bills are very reasonable, but if I can get away with not having to use the AC and just save that much money, you know, I will do my best to, you know, not use the AC. So that's why it's very hot. I have all the windows open, and I don't have my fan turned on because I don't want to make a lot of noise. I'm not sure how it's going to affect the microphone. So I'm just kind of sitting here, sweating it out, and drinking lots of water, and I think that's going to be just fine for now. It's been a relatively cool summer, so I haven't had to worry too much about it getting really hot, because it seems like for every significantly hot day we have, the very next day is going to be cool and rainy. So it's been a very weird summer this year. And because of that, I've been a lot more picky about when I use my AC. And I actually have not turned on my AC once this summer so far. So, you know, take that for what it is. I kind of don't mind. And the thing is that I live close to the Canadian border. I live out here in Idaho. And so I'm not even joking. Like the Canadian border is probably about 10 miles from my current location. And the thing about that is that I'm originally from California, which is like an arid desert. So I lived in California for 23 years of my life. And I had to deal with absurdly hot summers, like on a regular basis. So having summers out here in, you know, Idaho, which is like right near the Canadian border, I like to think that it's very much cooler and nicer than it is out where I used to live in California. Oh, hey, Richard Lash, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Oh, I didn't know you live in California. Very cool, dude. Very cool. Yeah, I used to live in the Sacramento Carmichael region of California. I always say Sacramento Carmichael because a lot of people don't, because I lived in Carmichael and a lot of people don't know where that is. Carmichael is on the outskirts of Sacramento. So I always kind of bring up Sacramento whenever I'm talking about it. I'm in Texas, so I have hot summers. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I believe you, Claude Brooks. I've only been to Texas once, and it was for a plane changeover. And it was in the middle of summer, and I remember it being so damn hot. Like, I was only there for a very short amount of time, and I remember it being, that's the one thing I remember about the short time I was out in Texas, was that it was just obscenely hot. I remember that very well. Okay, so what I'm about to do is something that I've noticed is that this rock formation off to the side here, it's got a very base yellow color, a very simple base yellow color, and San Bernardino Desert. Okay, okay. I actually don't recognize that by name, but is that out in California? I'm not exactly sure. But I'm noticing here on this rock formation that it's kind of got this very interesting base yellow. And what's really nice about that is that that's actually very easy to replicate. It's not going to take very much work. So instead of trying to make a new color, the first thing I'm going to be doing is actually just going ahead and using my base yellow instead of trying to mix a new color. So let's kind of test that out and see how it looks. And I might have to change it, but I just want to see what it's going to look like just using this regular old yellow. Because sometimes, like, just using the base colors can do a lot of work for you. Like, you don't even have to put in this great effort to get a specific type of color. Sometimes you just need to use your base colors. And like I said, it's not that frequent that you get that lucky and that it can work out that way. But when it does happen, it's very nice, and you should take advantage of it. So, based on what I can see, it's very close, but there is a slight difference I'm noticing. First of all, the yellow in the original art, it's the east of LA. Okay, all right. I've been to LA. I've never lived there, but my parents actually used to live in LA before I was born. So my parents and my older sister used to live in LA before they moved to Sacramento, and I was born in Sacramento. So, but I know that general area. I just never heard of the San Bernardino, if I'm saying that right, desert. So it's already began cooling off outside, but the temp right now is still 90. Holy crap. It's cooling off, but it's 90 degrees. Okay, whatever you say, Cloud Brooks. That actually reminds me of a really funny story, a true story about me and my friends back in California. Me and my friends, I used to have this very good friend of mine, and I don't want to call him by his regular name, just in case if, he doesn't want to be, referenced or anything, but I had this good friend who I used to call Habini Baby, and there was one time where we were hanging out, and it was a very hot summer in California, and he was about to go out, and he asked me, he said, hey, Mike, can you look up the weather real quick and tell me how hot it's going to be? And I was like, yeah, dude, no problem. I looked up the weather and I was like, oh, well, it looks like it's going to be a low of 75 and a high of 102. And he looks at me, he's like, oh, gotcha. I'll remember to bring my coat then. And I thought that was so funny. And the whole joke behind that, in case it flew above anybody's head, is that that kind of temperature is considered cool in California. So, okay, I got it. 102. I'll remember to bring my coat. He was a real good guy, good friend of mine. Let's see. To the north is the Mojave Desert. Yeah, I definitely know the Mojave. Let's just say it's warm around here, over 100 warm. Oh yeah, I believe you, Serta. I know California. Like I said, high of 102. Okay, I'll remember to bring my coat. I totally know that feeling. It used to get pretty crazy hot in Cali. So let's see what I'm going to do here. I'm going to actually, I am going to do some paint mixing. So let me move this out of the way to show you guys what I'm up to here. So I'm going to actually take some of this brown right here, just like a nice little dab of it. I'm going to put it right there. And I'm going to take some of this yellow and right, just like this yellow right over here. And I'm going to mix that with my brown. And this is basically going to give me this sort of lighter kind of tannish color, which is, I think, going to be a little better for the rock formations off to the side that are a little more light in color. Now, I'm worried that it might be a little too dark. So right off the bat, I think it's going to be too dark, and I'm not going to test it because I can just see that it's a little bit too dark right away. So the way that I'm going to address that is I'm going to add just a little bit of white. There goes my phone. Thank you very much. Okay, just kind of pop that a little bit, and I'm going to add just a little bit of this white into here, just to kind of lighten it up. Yeah, I think that's about right. I think that looks pretty good. That's more of like, I don't know how to describe that, maybe like a mustard brown color, I guess. So let's go ahead and play with this color and see what we get from it, because I think it's going to work out pretty nice. So I'm just going to go ahead and just right away just kind of add it into this area. And I'm kind of thinking that maybe it's a little too dark still. So, yeah, I'm not too sure about that. Not too sure about that. I'm thinking maybe, okay, I think I know what to do. This is where I kind of have to get a little tricky with the colors. I kind of have to make them work the way that I want them to work. I'm also going to add this just a little bit more down into this lower area as well, just to kind of give the coloration a little more variety and streakiness to make it look more rocky-like. So the way that I'm going to handle this darker color up here is I'm going to bring my palette back up. Wow, I got to give you some. So you were close, Cloud Brooks. You're very close. Let's see, Death the Kid. I'm at the store right now, and I'm looking for an acrylic paints, but I don't know what type of blue I should pick up. Should I pick up a light blue or a dark blue? Darker blue. Definitely a darker blue. It's safe to go with ultramarine because I know how that color works a lot. But if you can get something that is like a dark blue that is not an ultramarine here, you know what? Since we're talking about it, let me grab the new paint that I bought so I can show it to you to give you a better idea. So this is the new paint that I bought, the new blue. Right, like this is exactly what I was talking about. It's a dark blue, which is literally the name of it. And if you kind of put the ultramarine next to it, you'll definitely notice that the dark blue is actually a lighter color. Oh, Death the Kid. Go for Pathalo, dude. I love Pathalo. I use it all the time. If you have access to a Pathalo blue, you're going to want that because I can tell you right now, the Pathalo plays very friendly with blue cards. It's very good to use if you're painting a lot of islands and blue cards. So that is definitely the much better color to go for. Go for the Pathalo. But anyways, as I was saying, I have this ultramarine, which is what I have on my palette, versus this dark blue, which is a much lighter color than the ultramarine. And I'm very curious to see how the dark blue is going to play. Yeah, no problem, Death the Kid, no problem. I'm very curious to see how the dark blue plays with the other colors, because I'm curious to know if it'll actually get me the bluish-greenish color that I've always been wanting to achieve. And, you know, like I said, Death the Kid, if you find a blue that says Pathalo on it, I can definitely assure you that that is probably going to be the exact kind of blue that you're going to want to use for the majority of your blue cards. And I'm pretty sure it'll play pretty safe with the other colors as well, like your yellow and your red. It will take some experimenting, so you're going to want to play with it a lot and you know, try it on a few different things to really get an understanding of what you can get away with for that particular color. So I wish you all the luck, Death the Kid. I'm really happy to hear that you're interested in painting and you're trying some stuff. Do I do any miniature painting? I have actually never painted a miniature before, ever. However, I find it very interesting, and I actually I've known multiple people who have painted miniatures and are very good at doing so. I not too long ago took a vacation out to Seattle, Washington, and I was staying with this very nice lesbian couple, and they were very. Oh, there's a loud truck outside. Give it a minute; it'll go away. God, that was annoying. Uh, so I was staying with this very nice lesbian couple while I was staying in Seattle, Washington, and one of them was actually they first of all love Magic the Gathering, which was really cool. These two ladies have actually been playing Magic the Gathering longer than I have. In fact, when they were first dating, that's how they actually got to know each other, was they used to play lots of Magic the Gathering together at their old card shop. I thought that was really cool. And one of them actually not only does canvas painting, but she also does miniature painting. And she was showing me all sorts of very interesting miniatures that she's done. And they're fantastic. And I even told her, I was like, well, you know what? I paint Magic cards. And I showed her some of the examples. And they thought it was really cool. And I told them, like, you know, if you're good at painting miniatures, you should definitely, you know, throw some of your Magic cards to the side and just paint them up and do what you want. What type of brushes would you suggest? Okay, well, I actually have these brushes that are all a collection of miniature brushes. They are specially designed for painting miniatures. And I actually picked these up at Walmart. So these are the brushes I use. They're not super expensive. They're not, fancy or anything. But they're specially designed for painting miniatures and other things like that. And you'll notice that they have a variety of different types of brush tips. This one right here on the very end, that's my Psycho brush that I use. It's the pinpoint brush. And then you have this large variety of all these other brushes. Most of them I never use. But from what I've heard, they're good for all sorts of different purposes, especially in particular painting miniatures. So if you're at Walmart and you're looking through paints, go ahead and look through their brush section, which should be right next to their paints. And you'll find that they'll probably have like a pretty nice collection of miniature brushes that will be suited to your talents. And don't feel bad about buying cheap brushes. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, you're just on the cusp of learning all this stuff. And you want to start out cheap before you start dropping all of your money for high quality stuff that you're just not even sure if you're going to use yet. So just, look for some cheap paints and also look for some cheap brushes and just kind of get as much as you can out of them. And then if you find that you like what you're doing and you're comfortable with it, then I highly suggest why not go and look at some higher quality stuff. Let's see here. I have no artistic talent. I've tried and failed many times. Well, Cloud Brooks, you got to fail a lot of times before you realize that you can really get something done. If you were in my previous stream, I was actually showing off my first set of what was it called? I was showing off my very first card paintings, and the very first one I ever did was very ugly. It's very, very ugly, and it was just I had to start somewhere. And the thing is too is that even if you start out with something that looks really ugly, you just got to practice at it and practice at it. Like, you can't just give up, And I mean, if you find that that's not, like, if you try it a few times and you say to yourself, you know what, this is just not my thing, that's okay, man. Like, there is nothing wrong with taking a moment to realize that it's not your thing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I just kind of try to encourage people to try it, And if you give it a chance and you really kind of, practice a few times and accept the fact that you're going to fail a few times, and you find that you enjoy it, that's the most important part. You shouldn't be focused on whether it looks good or not. What you should do is try to ask yourself, am I having a good time while I'm doing this? And if you can make, a card that looks ugly, but you can finish that card and say to yourself, wow, this is absolutely ugly, but goddamn, I had a great time painting this. If you can do that for yourself, then, you can just keep doing it, and you can enjoy the fact that you got a significant amount of fun out of just doing it. And seeking that fun over and over and over again by doing it over and over and over again, you'll find that you'll just naturally get better. And then you'll realize that your moment of just having a pure amount of fun will turn into talent and hard work and practice. And then your quality of work will definitely show. If you're passionate about it, you'll naturally get better at it. Let's see, I get that, and I appreciate the push, but you said it yourself. It is not my thing. I can't draw. Oh, that's okay, Cloudbrooks. I am positive that even though you can understand that painting and drawing is not your thing, I'm absolutely positive, without knowing very much about you, that you're definitely good at something. There's something that you're talented at. Because every person that I've ever met in my entire life is talented at least one thing that they do. Take it easy, Twinsy. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm glad to have you in here. You have a great day. No super chats. No, Richard, in case you don't know how super chats work, you actually have to have a large subscriber base before you can start getting super chats. I think it's like you have to have 1,000 followers. Like you have to have 1,000 subscribers in order to become monetized. And then once you're monetized, that also unlocks super chats, and then people can start sending you money. So that's totally fine. I'm okay with that because what I don't have it set up yet, but my plan is one of the other chores that I plan on doing today is setting up my PayPal so that people can start sending me money for either commissions or just because they want to be cool and send me some money for no reason. I'm cool with that too. So yeah, I promise to definitely get that set up soon. I will. I do actually have a PayPal, but the problem is that it's actually very, very old, and it has all these weird problems with it because I have literally not used it in years. I actually set up a PayPal many years ago. I first set it up in 2007. Not even joking. I first set up my 2007 PayPal account. Oh, don't worry, Richard Lash. There will be time for that soon, I promise. My goal is to try and get not super chats, my PayPal set up probably before next week when I do my next set of streams, and then people can start sending me money then. I'm probably just going to have the PayPal set up before I actually start doing something like, I'm kind of interested in doing a Patreon, but I don't want to jump into that yet because I kind of just want to dip my toes in the water and see where a simple PayPal will get me. And but don't worry, Richard Lash, you will have your day in my stream to have your super chat battles. It'll happen eventually, I promise. But for now, we're just gonna have to make do with what we got. But I will say this, Richard, you're very, very cool, and I really appreciate that you even thought about doing something like that. And I really appreciate that. So you're totally allowed to hang out in my stream and hang out with us. And I am totally on board to do a commission for you. So we can talk about that a little later. If you want, you can contact me on my Discord. I'll try and send you, I don't know if you're on Discord, but if you are, we'll try and find each other. And I will definitely be more than happy to talk with you about setting up an actual commission for you or something like that. And then we'll figure it out from there, okay? But once again, I super appreciate that you were very interested in sending me money. So that is very cool. Thank you very much. And yeah, so let me go ahead and look at games. I had more knowledge than a strategy guide. Final Fantasy. Oh man, that's tough. Wow, I'm proud of you, dude. I have Final Fantasy VII, the original 3 black discs, and I was never very good at that game. I've actually never beaten Final Fantasy VII. I got about halfway through it, but never beat it because it got to a point of where I got very stuck and frustrated with it. So I just kind of quit, you know? But that's really cool, man. I'm actually really jealous of people that are very good at video games because I'm not particularly talented at very many games. There are a couple games that I'm relatively good at, but they're very far and few between, and I don't even really play video games that much anymore. But I do really enjoy watching people play video games. So that's why I hang out on Cinder's stream a lot, because I actually think that Cinder is a very good video game player. He's very good at playing games, and I really enjoy watching him do that. So yeah, he's a very interesting streamer, and I enjoy what he has to say, and I enjoy what he has to do. So yeah. And you know what? If Cloud Brooks, if you really like video games and you want that to like become a thing for you, you should think about getting into streaming and stuff like that for video games. It could become something really nice for you. You just never know. So flex that talent, my brother. Hey, Mr. Helfer Gamers, how you doing, man? You actually made it to one of my streams on time. It's probably because I started really late today. This is a very late stream for me, so but I'm really glad you're here, dude. It's very cool. I know you've been trying to make it into my streams, and you've generally been on the cusp of just missing them. But you know what? I'm glad to have you here, dude. So you can just kind of kick it with us and enjoy it. If you're curious what I'm working on, I'm actually painting up a Kiln Fiend right now, which is a card that I have had plenty of fun playing with. For anybody that knows the card relatively well, Kiln Fiend is a very powerful and very scary card. You don't want to be on the receiving end of a Kiln Fiend because it can mess you up very quick. And that's why I'm here painting it, is because it's a very nice, powerful card that I'm interested in painting. So that's what we're doing here. I'm just kind of messing around, if you guys are curious. I haven't really changed my color palette yet. I'm playing around with this mustardy yellow color, and I'm about to apply it up here at the top for this kind of bright colored sky, which I'm also planning to kind of gray out a bit. I'll probably be washing it out with a little bit of black and a little bit of white as well. I actually have been wanting to do it for years. Long story short, I have a lot of things that haven't allowed me to get a decent enough computer camera, etc. to begin. Well, Cloud Brooks, you just do it when you're ready for it. Like, don't feel like you should feel pressured into, doing that stuff. But another thing, I don't want to make you feel like that you should be pressured, but one of the greatest things that I've learned, and I've heard it from plenty of people, and the thing is that if I had never heard this particular bit of advice from multiple people, I would not be sitting here in front of you guys streaming my paints at all. Multiple people have told me this. Mike Hatcher told me this, as well as my own father told me this. And they basically both said to me at different times, eventually you can buy all the supplies and you can buy all the stuff and all that. But the thing is that no matter how much stuff you buy to get yourself ready, the only way that it's going to happen is you got to just do it. You just have to sit down. You might have to take a few breaths. Like when I did my very first painting stream, I, no joke, sat in this chair for like a good 20 minutes taking deep breaths because I was very nervous about doing it. And I didn't know if I was going to be ready or prepared or anything like that. And I just had to kind of relax and kind of go to my Zen place and take a few deep breaths and say, I have to do it. I really want to get into this, and the only way to do it is to just jump into it. And so here I am doing it. And, after that first one, all the anxiety of doing it left me. And, once the anxiety left me after the very first stream I did, I was able to then immediately, the very next day, turn on the camera, throw down a card, and start painting. And then a week later, I turned on the camera, threw down a card, and started painting. And I just realized that with each single stream that I did, it got easier and easier and easier, So and that's the thing is that, like, I don't want to, try to say, like, oh, you just got to do it, Because if you legitimately don't want to do it, then don't force yourself to do it. But if you feel like that you legitimately have the passion to want to be doing this stuff, then you do have to sit yourself down and take a few deep breaths and jump into it, because that's the only way you're going to actually get it done. And that was very hard for me to learn, because like I spent a month buying things to get this all set up, and it just got to a point of where I just had to do it. Thank you, Twinsy. I like it. Yep, you just got to find your Zen mode. That's the secret. You just got to find your Zen mode. So yeah, but like I said, don't feel like that. Here's the better way to say it. Don't let other people pressure you into it. You have to be the person that's going to push you into wanting to do it. So let me go ahead and hook you up real quick, Richard Lash. So my, give me just a second here. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I'm going to type in my, my Discord real quick. 059. Okay. Give me just a second. I got to grab my keyboard. Okay, let me double check on it to make sure I typed it right before I send it. Okay, that's right. All right. For any of you in here, that is my Discord. Go ahead and if you're interested in just kind of hanging out and chatting, or if you're curious about maybe commissioning a piece of art that you'd like me to work on, or anything along those lines, feel free to hit me up on Discord. I trust you guys. It's all good. So just go ahead and hit me up on there and throw me a couple of personal messages. Let me know if you want to commission, anything like that. And we can, just kind of hang out and chat and stuff like that. It'll be fun. So yeah, but like I said, it's good to take advice from people, but don't ever feel like that you need to do that stuff because somebody tells you need to do it. Just get to a point of where you can pressure yourself into it and be comfortable with that. And that's what's going to allow you to strive forward and get those things done for yourself. Because if that's what you want to do, then you should definitely, jump into it. And because the only person that's ever going to truly make yourself happy is yourself. So, that's what you got to do, man. Just, realize that you are, in fact, your best friend in the whole world. And as your own best friend in the whole world, you got to strive to please yourself and make yourself happy. And that's how you're going to get it done. Okay, so let's kind of, that is looking amazing. Thank you, Hell for Gamers. I'm glad you really like it. And I'm also glad you also enjoy the real talk. I really love having personal chats with people and kind of, talking and about this kind of stuff. And it's good to have a personal connection with you guys, especially since I know that you guys, there's not a single name in here that I don't recognize. Do what I tell you guys to do. Do not listen to him. Thank you, Mike Hatcher. The man of wisdom is in the chat himself. All must bow down and listen to him. Me existing should be enough for you all to be happy. Rejoice! Praise be to Magic Historian! Praise be to Magic Historian! I love you, Mike. You're awesome. And I like I mentioned before, I don't know if you were in here when I was talking about it, but I just want to let you know, Mr. Mike Hatcher, you are one of the major inspirations to make me be here right now. If it wasn't for you, I don't think I would have ever gotten into this. So you are a major inspiration on my life and moving forward in these things. So I really appreciate that I have had the chance of meeting you and becoming friends with you, spending time in your chat rooms, watching your videos, having a great time, because you've actually made a major impact on my life. And, I wouldn't be here right now doing this, which I absolutely love, if I had never met you. So I really just want to say that to you, man. You've made a major impact in my life. And I like to think that you are going to go off and make a major impact on many, many people as you continue career towards YouTube fame. So you keep following your dreams, and, you know, I'll be right behind you, watching every single thing that you do, enjoying your entertainment, and doing my best to follow my dreams as well and painting up a storm. So thank you for being here. Hey! Oh, shut up. All right, all right. I'm going to get back into this painting. Enough blathering on my end. My catcher has made it very clear that that I have made a major mistake in calling him out like that. So let's let's go ahead and continue on. So I'm using more of this yellow color down here, just kind of to add more to the rock formation. So I'm also kind of shading some of the darker brown areas just to really give it that fiery kind of appearance along the rock sides, and just kind of bringing it down along the edges here. Now I'm getting to this point where I'm not totally sure how I'm going to continue on with this rock formation. I don't know if I'm going to make it darker as it gets lower, because I would think that a lot of the coloration up here in this particular area of the rock formation, that this is mostly this color simply because the fire is reflecting off of the rocks. And which would mean that if it gets lower into the painting, it's going to get darker and darker and darker. So what I think I'm going to do to really give that appearance is I'm going to keep using this olivish kind of yellow color, and I'll probably just paint this whole underside that color, and then I'll probably then add in some different shades of brown. Like, it'll get like really dark at the bottom and then get lighter as it transitions back up to the top into this lighter color. So let's go ahead and mess around with that. Hey, Goaty Goat, I'm glad to see you in here, man. It's really fun to have you hanging out with us, and I enjoy your presence. So glad that you managed to come on back and hang out with us. So yeah, so let me continue on with this yellowish painting. I think I'm going to have to make some more because I think it's run dry. Well, actually, it looks like there's just a little bit here left. So, yeah. Okay, I'm going to keep working with it just a little bit longer because it seems like there's still a little bit left, but I am going to have to probably make some more in just a little bit. So I'm going to keep on bringing this on down, like so, that mustardy yellow kind of color. Bring it on down. Bring it on down. Yeah. That's looking pretty nice, actually. I really like it. The real fun of this particular piece is that the yellow. I definitely saw it, Richard, and I also saw a few of you sending me requests. So that's very cool. Oh, thank you, my catcher. I really just I didn't realize how much fun I was going to have until I actually started, and I had to, you know, get a lot of. I had to talk with a lot of different people and get a lot of different words of encouragement from YouTube creators as well as. All right. Okay, all right, guys. Oh, you crack me up. It's okay, Richard. You're in a safe place with a lot of good friends. So yeah, I did notice that a lot of you sent me some after I sent up the friend request thing. A lot of you went ahead and sent me some friend requests. So I really appreciate that. Feel free to send me some PMs. And also, I know, since I just now saw Richard send me... all right. All right, guys. I guess you're going to make me do this, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Oh, you guys are too much. Like I said, I'm going to look through the friend requests, and if any of you are interested in sending me like commissions or anything, because I know, Richard, that's probably why you're really interested in sending me a friend request. So we'll definitely talk about what you're interested in. Um, I'm not too sure if I'm ready to actually start painting a sliver of cool for you. We'll see. We'll see. If that's what you're going for, there's a lot of maybe on the table. So that's just going to have to be something that we're going to have to talk about a little bit. So I'm bringing up my palette again, and I'm going to recreate this brown mustard color that I've made. So, okay, so I'm going to squeeze out this brown a little bit, bring it right on over here. There we go. Just like so. Yeah, I mean, Death the Kid, I would be down to do a Guy's Cradle, but that's going to be a full price one. So for any of you guys who aren't already aware, I've established that my price tag for commissions is going to be about $50 a piece. And however, I'm willing to do basic lands for about $40 a piece, which will be a little cheaper. Just in case if you are interested in buying my artwork for the sake of having artwork, not necessarily specifically a particular card. That's why I'm going to make the basic lands a little cheaper, about $40. But the regular cards and commissions will have to be $50 a piece. That's what my artwork's going to start going for. So yeah, Richard, and Death the Kid, if you guys want me to paint something like that, then I will be more than happy to talk with you guys a bit more about it off stream, and we can definitely get something arranged. We can get some new and interesting altar cards on the table, and then you guys can put them in your favorite EDH decks or whatever you like, and show them off to as many people as you would like. And by all means, if you feel like showing them off to your friends and showing them towards my channel, I would be more than happy to do that. Going to send you dick pics. Oh, Mike, I love you so much, dude. Oh, God. Oh, gee whiz. Okay. Just like the idea of that happening just cracks me up. But I definitely can say that from the early days of the internet, I've probably seen my fair share of dick pics, whether I really wanted to or not. And I've never really wanted to see any of them, but they would all come towards my way anyways. The problem is, guys, I'm just too pretty, and so dick pics were a major problem for a period of time. Oh, God. Okay, I would like to discuss something with you at some point, sir. Okay, Cloud Brooks, definitely. You and me can chat about it later, and I would be more than happy to set something up for us. We can definitely talk about getting a altar art on the table for you. And like I said, I would be more than happy to do it on stream. However, I will also provide the offer that if there is any reason whatsoever that if there is any reason whatsoever that you don't want me to do your altar on the stream, you can go ahead and let me know, and I will be more than happy to do it on my free time rather than on stream. Whether it's for anonymity or whether it's because you have like a secret card that you don't want your friends to know about or something, that's fine. But otherwise, if you guys are cool with it, I would love to do your commissions on stream. Chet and Narrow after this. That's true. That's true. Well, you know why? You know what the big deal is, right, Mike? If I'm making all this money from my art, well, I guess I'm just going to have to start sending you more money, right? I mean, that's the logical next step. I mean, I make more money. I take that money. I send it to Mike Hatcher. I'm pretty sure that's the order of things around here, isn't it? Let's see. Love the work posted today. I'm totally using your fine suggestions to determine my next maple syrup purchase. Okay. Yeah, I actually, while I was having some lunch, I was watching over the down the hatch for the syrup, and that was awesome. I had so much fun. You guys probably I'm going to go ahead and make the assumption that you guys like may or may not have seen the comment I left, but I was laughing so hard in that video. It was so damn funny. I had a great time watching it. And I thought my favorite part about it was the fact that Perp was just going ahead and being like, they're all the same damn syrup. They're all the same. I don't understand. Except for the last one, which you guys said tasted like molasses, which I thought was kind of interesting. And because molasses is such a weird flavor that you have to be really careful with. I've learned that in cooking that you have to be very careful with what you do with molasses because it has such a strong flavor. And it's like if you're not automatically interested in the weirdly bitter and sweet flavor of molasses, then you're probably not going to want it as a syrup. But I did really enjoy that video, and I've never been a particular connoisseur of syrup. But I'm glad that somebody on YouTube is a connoisseur of syrup, like Mr. Mike Hatcher. Increased tribute is only fitting. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Too funny. Well, I just thought it was the logical next step. All right. Too good. You guys crack me up. I love having you guys all in here. So I haven't really changed what I'm doing. I'm still just adding in this this light mustardy color. And like I said, I'm just going to cover the entire bottom area with this mustardy color going on. And cook with, yes, you can cook with molasses. It just, you have to be careful with what you put it in because it's a very finicky ingredient. I have seen multiple things with molasses go very wrong. It's used very frequently in baking. So like cakes, cookies, things like that. I've also seen it used in souffles. And I've seen it used in sauces as well. But you have to be very careful with how you use it because it's so very strong in flavor that sometimes if you use too much, it'll distract from all the other flavors in what you're cooking with. So that's just something I've learned because I've learned a lot about molasses, especially very recently, because one of the cooks that I work with at my job, she actually cooks with molasses very, very frequently. And sometimes it really works, and sometimes it really does not work at all. So based on the various experiences I've had with her cooking in particular, I have learned where it works and where it doesn't. So I one time watched her make like a teriyaki sauce, and she used molasses in it, and it just like, it seemed like a good idea. Like I could definitely understand like what her thought process was to be putting molasses in the teriyaki sauce the way that she did, but it did not come out good. It was a big mess, and it tasted awful. And a lot of the people that were served it were not fans of it. So you got to be very careful with that kind of stuff. I use maple syrup while making hamburger patty. Oh, that's really excuse me. That's really interesting, Wild Goat. I've never thought to ever put maple syrup in a hamburger patty. I'm trying to imagine what that would taste like. That would be a very interesting. I feel like that would work. I'm just not sure how it would specifically taste. It sounds very intriguing, though. So anyways, as you guys have probably noticed, I have actually covered the entire bottom area with the mustard brown. And now I'm going back and dipping my paintbrush into the original brown that I've created. And I'm just going to start overlaying this entire area with this darker brown color, because I wanted to kind of have that more dark stone appearance to it. And you might notice that I'm doing very light, dry swipes with the brown. And that reason why is because I'm adding, like, the swiping that I'm doing with this color is going to add a rougher texture to the painting. So it's going to make it look like that they're actually rocks. It's going to have a rough surface kind of appearance to it. I've done that, Goat, but I tend to use Worcestershire. Yes, Helix, I can definitely agree that Worcestershire sauce is a great ingredient for hamburger patties. My father, when he has made hamburger patties, he actually very frequently uses Worcestershire sauce in his mixture as well. It's very good for flavoring different kinds of meats. I've also had Worcestershire sauce for flavoring Pot roasts, I've had it for various different kind of steaks. I've used it as a glaze. It's very useful. It's got a lot of very sharp flavors. But what's really nice about Worcestershire sauce in particular is when you're cooking with Worcestershire sauce, especially on meat, what will frequently happen is the meat will absorb the most important flavors of the Worcestershire sauce, while the rest of the Worcestershire sauce will frequently drip into the pan, and it'll mix the juices, like the various drippings of the meat, and it'll mix in the bottom of the pan with the Worcestershire sauce. So you get the benefit of the Worcestershire sauce being absorbed into the meat while it cooks. And then you have the drippings of the pan, which you can then pour into a like a gravy boat or something. And you can pour that on top of your varying different meats. And then you get this really delicious, sharp flavored sauce that goes great on just about any meat. Worcestershire sauce is fantastic at doing that. It's a very good meat flavoring. I've used it quite a few times in various different cookings. I don't keep it in my kitchen at work. That might be something that I might ask and see, because what's really nice is that I have enough sway in my kitchen at work that I can generally ask them to buy me just about any kind of ingredient I want, and they'll get it for me. Like, there was a time where I told them that there was a very particular way that I liked cooking chicken. Like, they wanted me to start cooking chicken breasts. And I said, well, if you guys want me to start baking chicken breasts, you guys are going to have to buy me EVOO. And for those who don't know, EVO means extra virgin olive oil. And I never cook skinless chicken breasts without extra virgin olive oil. That's very important for how I cook my chicken. It's delicious. It gives the chicken a lot of flavor. It makes it look fantastic. And it's also extremely, extremely healthy. And so I told them that if they wanted me to start cooking skinless chicken breasts, they're going to have to get that for me. So, and they did. They actually bought me a gigantic vat of extra virgin olive oil. And I use it on all sorts of things. I use it on chicken breasts. I use it on spaghettis. I use it for all sorts of different kinds of noodle dishes in particular. It's very good at moisturizing the noodles, giving it a sharp flavor, and also preventing the noodles from sticking to one another. So it's very nice. But anyways, I'm off track. So the whole point was that if I probably went into work and I told them, get me Worcestershire sauce, they'd probably do it. So I might have to look into that. But the thing is that cooking beef is very uncommon in my kitchen. At work, the only time I ever really cook beef is when I'm cooking hamburger. And I have a very particular way of cooking my hamburger because I have to be careful with the amount of salt that goes into the hamburger that I'm cooking. So frequently what I do is I will actually cook my hamburger with Italian seasoning, like a base Italian seasoning, which is just like a mixture of herbs and spices. And I'll mix in salt and pepper, like a very minor amount of salt and a pretty heavy dose of pepper, because one of the things I like about pepper too is that you can use pepper, like ground pepper, and throw it on to like different kinds of meat, and then burn off the really spicy part of the pepper. So like, because a lot of people get concerned because when they think of pepper, they think of like the kind of pepper you get in a pepper shaker, which you would pour on something and it would make it spicy. But if there's anything that I've learned is that you can actually put pepper on various different meats. And when you cook that meat, whether it's by steaming or baking or broiling or whatever, it'll keep the flavor of the pepper, but it won't keep the spiciness of the pepper, which is really nice because there's a lot of people who like the flavor of pepper, like, or sometimes they don't even realize that they like the flavor of pepper because they don't realize that it's even on there in the first place. But they'll like the flavor of the pepper, but they won't like the spiciness. So I pretty much never put pepper on anything as like a base ingredient to flavor something unless I'm cooking it off, which will frequently get rid of the spicy taste of what it is. So let's take a minute to kind of look at what we got here. So we have here a bunch of different rock formations. Get your hands on some saffron. That's an interesting spice, and it's expensive for a reason. Yeah, it's very delicious. I have actually worked with saffron a few times. That's a little too pricey for my work kitchen, but I have worked with it on my own. It's very good stuff. Caramelized onions, always caramelized. Okay, so I got to go ahead and tell you, Hell for Gamers, I don't cook with onions anymore. And the reason why is because I'm actually allergic to onions. And it sucks. It's now I should be a little more clear about it. I'm only allergic to red onions and white onions. I know it sucks. It really does suck. Red and white onions make me very, very sick. Like really bad sick. And I actually used to be when I was, I would almost say maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, I was sick on a regular basis. I would have stomach aches. I would have various different kinds of bowel problems. I also had some skin issues as well. And I had all sorts of really weird problems. And it was based on my diet. But the problem was that we didn't know what was causing me to have those problems. So I actually had to go on a diet that basically forced me to remove almost every kind of food from my diet that would cause a allergic reaction. And I basically eliminated everything until I got to the point of where I stopped being sick on a regular basis. And then we started slowly reintroducing all of the foods that cause allergic reactions. And we found that when we reintroduced red and white onions, I started having allergic reactions again. So that was when we decided to completely remove all red and white onions from my diet. And I have actually been a lot healthier since I've done that. Now, I say specifically red and white onions because I can still have green onions. I can still have shallots. I can still have garlic. I love garlic, so I'm glad I'm not allergic to garlic. I can have chives. I can have, I think that's the majority of them. I also will say I'm also allergic to like sweet onions, for example, like Maui onions. I can't have those. But I can have all those other ones that I listed off. So that's good. So I can still enjoy chives, shallots, green onions, garlic, stuff like that. It's just red and white onions that I'm allergic to. So, but I used to eat onions all the time. And I promise you guys, when I didn't know that I was allergic to them, I loved onions. Red and white onions were something I absolutely loved. And I'm actually sad that I can't have them anymore. But I would rather stay healthy than being constantly sick and allergic, because I was not, for a long period of time, I was not very fun to be around because I was constantly having allergic reactions. So I definitely am much happier the way that I am. And I just stay away from onions. And sometimes I accidentally eat them, like not on purpose. It'll happen literally by accident. And like, for example, I'll eat something and I won't realize that there's an onion in it until I bite into an onion. And as long as I can catch that there are onions in it and stop it right then and there, then I generally stay okay. Let's see, it bugs me when I go to a friend's house and they have all those Walmart type preloaded spice racks with old garbage spice in the bottles, fresh black pepper and garlic. Yes, I agree with that, Hell for Gamers. Fresh black pepper and garlic are always a must. They're great spices used for all sorts of different purposes. This is why vegans are sick people. Yes, very true. Can't use volume, so I have no clue what you're saying. Oh, I'm sorry, Braden. Well, you can definitely tell what's going on here. I'm going to just kind of fondle this card to trick Braden into thinking that I'm saying something very important. Like, for example, I'm going to tap on the face here, and then I'm going to tap over here on this side, and then kind of like move my paintbrush around just a little bit, and then come back over to the face and tap it one more time. That way Braden thinks that I'm saying something super, super important, but he has no idea what I'm actually saying when it's really just nonsense. All right, so let's go ahead and I want to darken this area down here. So I'm going to kind of reopen my black color. I'm not making any more new colors. I think that I'm kind of done with making new colors and things like that. So I'm just going to kind of try to use the colors that I have available to me. And because most of them, like I said, there's not a lot of complex colors going on in this piece, but what it does have does actually look very nice. So I'm going to kind of bring in my black, and I'm doing that classic trick where I rub it off on my palette to get a really light shade. And then I'm going to just kind of spread it across the bottom, so that way I can further darken this area. I really want it to look like that it's supposed to be darker, but there is light coming off of the Kiln Fiend, specifically for the purpose of, making it look like that the light is fading off in the distance. So that's kind of what I'm adding down to the bottom here. Just kind of like that. There we go. That looks really nice. I like it. And I'm also kind of purposely leaving a sort of almost lighter border around the text box, so that way it kind of looks like it's lit up a little bit, like it's almost got a shade to it. Let's see. He's going to make his eyes into skulls. Yes. I don't know why, but nachos sound good right now. Probably because we've been talking about all sorts of spicy food. Speaking of spicy food, because you were mentioning Hell for Gamers was talking about how important garlic and pepper is. A spice that I have found is a lot more fun, despite what people might think about it, especially people who don't like spicy food, is I actually have found chili powder specifically to be very, very good for all sorts of different kinds of foods. And for example, because I cook for older people, like I cook for a retirement home, and a lot of those people don't like having spicy food. But one of the things that's really interesting is that if you get like a light chili powder, because they have regular chili powder and they have light chili powder, and if you can get like your hands on a light chili powder, it's very good for flavoring food. So like you can add light chili powder to something and then like throw it into the oven or a broiler or whatever, and it will frequently burn off the spiciness of the chili pepper, but will still infuse whatever you're cooking with the flavor of chili, which is actually a really delicious flavor on its own. It's very tasty. And so I've actually been finding that at work, I'm putting chili powder into more and more things. And it's a lot of fun because there's lots of different ways I experiment with it. I put it in vegetables, I put it in meats, I mix it into sauces. I even, I make a macaroni and cheese for residents that most of them love. And one of the secret ingredients is chili powder. Yes, cayenne pepper is very good as well. I like it as well. It's very mild and low on the heat scale, but it's got this deep, delicious, smoky flavor to it. I love it. I totally agree with you guys. It's so good. Honey grilled salmon. Ooh, I love me some salmon. That sounds really good. If you have intentionally tried eating just caramelized white onions, because yes, so I know what you're getting at, and the thing is that the sweet flavor of a caramelized onion is actually the chemicals of the onion itself being changed while it's being cooked. But I'm still getting it's the chemical that comes off of the onions that makes me sick. And so even caramelized onions do make me sick. I'm sorry, Hell for Gamers. There's just no... I've tried it. I promise you I've tried it. It still makes me very sick. I wish I could have it, but I can't. Okay, so I'm going to change some things up a little bit here. I'm going to get a little wild with these colors. I've done all this stone stuff on the bottom, and I'm actually very happy with how it looks. Now what I want to do is I'm going to start messing around with the flames here. So like these flames along the side here, like are kind of red and have a teensy bit of orange, but it's mostly yellow. So, Thai chili sauce is so good, Rebecca. God, you have such good taste, girl. You guys all have very good taste in food. I'm going to basically get into my red color, and I'm going to start painting this top area with a bunch of different shades of red. And I'm not going to be tweaking the red color in any way. I'm just going to be kind of using different shadings of the same color. So, and then I'll probably go over it with a layer of yellow to kind of change the overall coloration of the red. So we're just going to start with the red itself, and we're going to see where it takes us. So I'm just kind of, adding it here and there. I'm trying to be very careful with how much I use of it because it's very dark, it's very deep, and I am going to have to change the coloration of it with the yellow. So we're just kind of adding that in here, just kind of throwing it in. And you'll notice that I'm kind of like adding these little wispy peaks on the top to kind of give it more of this flaming kind of appearance to it. That'll just kind of make it a little more cool and make it look like that the thing is more like an actual fire and things like that. And that kind of like adds to the intrigue of it, So that's what we're kind of doing with this here. I'm just kind of adding little bits and pieces here. I'm also going to throw some over here just off to the side a little bit. Just a little bit, right? Yeah, like that. Okay, so that kind of, maybe just a little bit more on this side. Maybe coming up a little bit, like that. Yeah, I think I like that like that. That looks really cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into my yellow. It's complicated to use, at least I think so. I hate using chili pepper. It's actually, it's a lot, so you just kind of have to pay attention to your portions, Serta. Because like you don't want to douse anything in chili. What I actually suggest is if you're really sensitive to how spicy chili can be, use it in light pinches. Like if you have like and here's another thing, Serta. If you want the flavor of chili, but you don't want the spice of chili, you gotta find a container of what's called light chili pepper, because there's light chili pepper and there's regular chili pepper, and regular chili pepper is full on like seeds and spiciness. So like if you go for the light chili pepper, it's very good for flavoring without introducing all the heat, And that's why I like cooking with it, is because like, the residents, like the older people, even though they can't really handle spicy food, I've experimented multiple times using light chili pepper, and I found that a lot of them really legitimately like the flavor that the chili pepper adds, but not necessarily the heat. So that's kind of how I mess with that. You just kind of have to practice with it and experiment a bit. Okay, so now I've got my basic yellow, and I'm just kind of swiping it all across the red that I just introduced, just to kind of give it a more orange tinge and to make it look more flame-like. Really give it that hot appearance. I find it funny that we're talking a lot about spicy food and I'm painting this hot-looking picture. All right, and I'm going to add some more yellow. And just kind of, throw it right on the top here, like so. There we go. There. Very nice. I likey. Mikey likey. Mikey likey. Yeah. And what's also nice is that because I'm adding the yellow in this way, it's keeping the majority of the red coloration while simultaneously adding a sort of orange color to it, That way it looks, it meshes better with the rest of the colors down here at the bottom. And that's really nice. It makes it look more like it's a flame that's properly attached to the rest of the flames on the bottom here. So yeah. I'm kind of trying to take a little bit of a look. I think what I'm going to do is, I was kind of noticing this earlier, and I think I'm going to go ahead and start working on it. I'm in the process of adding, the final details. This painting is almost about done. And this was a really quick one to go through. It's because of all the browns and the simplistic colors. But I am going to try and add a few details to it. And one of those details that I really want is there's sort of a lighting effect on the rocks due to the flames from the kiln fiend. So I'm basically going to dip my brush into the red, and I'm going to kind of just very lightly, here, that's a little too much red there. I'm basically trying to lightly introduce some red into the sides here, just to kind of further enhance the flaming light color that's coming off of these rocks. And it's just very light. But it really adds to the effect of, you know, the fire and all that stuff in the art. Let's see here. Hell for Gamers talking about chili powder, freezing batches. That's a good way too. I've actually learned that sometimes freezing your ingredients will help tone them down a bit. So that's actually a very good piece of advice that a lot of people don't know about. Make a teriyaki garlic. Ooh, that sounds really good, Rich. You sound like you're pretty good at cooking, dude. Do it up, man. Yeah, I love talking about cooking and food. It's I would honestly say that cooking is my second passion to art itself. In fact, I would even say that it's probably my passion for art that you know, makes me interested in cooking, because cooking in its own way is art itself, and I really enjoy that, and that's why I keep it as my current job. And I can't wait until you know, I can find more comfort in cooking more often outside of my workplace. Because I cook so much in my workplace, I actually don't like to cook as much at home for myself. But I mean, if I'm like cooking for somebody that I care about, like my family or a friend or something like that, I will definitely cook and get very fancy with it. But for myself, by myself, I generally don't really cook all that much for myself. I generally eat out, or I eat for free at work. Well, I eat my own cooking, therefore I don't have to actually. All right, Twinsy, you take it easy. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really had a great time having you in here. Thank you for coming out, hanging out with us, and enjoying the art and talking food with us. It was a lot of fun having you in here, and I hope to see you again soon, dude. Take it easy, man. All right, so I'm going to just keep on adding this red coloration, and I really like the effect that it's actually adding to this painting. It's very interesting, and it's very light to a point of where, you know, it's not in your face, but you definitely can kind of like almost see the heat coming off of everything, and I like that effect. I really do. And I'm also kind of going to mist it down off to the side here. Talking about like misting like I did yesterday for my paintings. So that kind of, you know, adds to the effect a little bit. And I'm also going to now bring that same red color, and I'm just going to kind of lightly present it on this side as well. Just very carefully, very lightly. Don't want to mess up too many of the nice colors I've already set up on this side. It's just a light shading that kind of adds to the effect a lot better. Makes it look like it's hot. 'Tis hot! All right, that looks pretty nice. I like it. I like how this is coming together. And I'm going to also kind of add it to the bottom just a little bit, not too much, just a little bit. Maybe bring it on along this side as well, just lightly, very lightly. There we go. All right, I'm really liking this one. It's coming together pretty nice. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out if there's anything else I want to add to it, because I think I'm just about ready to start wrapping this up. Maybe what I'll do, I am seeing one thing that I think I want to actually add to this. I think what I'm going to do is maybe try to add some black coloration. And the reason why I want to add black, and this particular black is not going to be for shading. It's actually for the purpose of adding the color black. And the reason why I want to do it is because up here on this particular rock slab, you can see that there's like these interesting cracks and things along the sides. And I really kind of want to help define that a little bit better on the bottom. So it really does look like that it's kind of like a set of slabs of rock. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of add just a few lines, just like really deep, dark lines that kind of make it look like as if it's actually, you know, like cracks in a rock and things like that. So just kind of adding that in just a little bit, and then kind of bringing it up along the side here. And the thing that's really fun about this is that you can get a little random with it, because, you know, with these rocks and things like that, like there's no defined like symmetry to any of this stuff. It's just like jagged rocks. So you get to define crack is sexy. Oh yeah, goat knows how it's going down. Get you some defined crack, you crazy goat man. So yeah, I'm just kind of adding that a little bit, just to kind of really add to the appearance that these are in fact rocks that we're dealing with. So I'm just kind of adding it to various different spots, and just kind of, you know, here and there. And it's like I said, you can get a little crazy with it because it doesn't need to be like symmetrical or anything like that. It kind of needs to look like as if it's like actually, you know, like a broken set of jagged rocks and stuff. So that's kind of what I'm adding. Ooh, it just got really windy in here, and my blinds started going crazy. And just kind of add it like that and like that. And I'm going to kind of just bring that around. There we go. Make it look really hot and dry. Hot and dry. Okay. And I think I'm going to just kind of cut these guys off right here and not add too much else. Yeah. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. All right. I really like how this looks. Here, you know what? Let me kind of add this black right there and kind of right there, just lightly, because it kind of gives some more defined edges along the sides. Makes it look a little more realistic and things like that. There. That looks really cool. I really like it. I really like it a lot. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look real quick. I'm going to kind of put it up to the camera. So there's a lot of fun stuff we did in this. So even though it started out kind of boring, I feel like we kind of took it in a really fun direction. So we have our mountain slab of rocks right up this side. It's kind of got, you know, some red and yellow light refracting off of it to kind of really make it look like the light is bouncing off the rocks. We have the lighter coloration on this side with a little bit more red as well, but less so because it's not as close to the Kiln Fiend as this side is. We then have the lighter side of the rocks as it's going up the side here and kind of meshing with the sky. And then we have the really fun and interesting flames that we did at the very top. We have the various rock slabs we did off to the sides with the cracks and the various different shadings. And we kind of misted it in very different areas so that way it looks like it's going from a lighter background down into a darker background. We also added lighting off to the sides here to make it look like it's getting darker the further you go down. And we also added the various different jagged rock edges along the bottom to make it look like that it's a dry, arid, rocky area. So I think that pretty much defines everything we did here. So the last thing I'm going to try and do with this is I'm going to pull out my handy dandy toothpick, my very trusty toothpick that's been sitting in water this whole time. I gave you a wrench, Richard, because Mr. Mike Hatcher was having a little bit of fun with you, and I kind of wanted to show him, listen, Mr. Mike Hatcher, I love you to death, but you gotta not bully my friends in here. And I mean, it's totally, I totally get him too. I was kind of being a little weird in his stream with my wrench as well, and I feel bad about it. And I also went out of my way to apologize to him for being that way. So I just wanted to keep you safe and give you a wrench. And you know what? Hell, I trust you too. You can have a wrench as well. I really don't think any of you guys are going to abuse your wrenches. And I know all of you very well. I know Hell for Gamers. Oh, hey, Mez. I'm glad to see you in here as well. You know what, Mez? I trust you as well. I trust all you guys. I have yet to actually get, I think maybe only 2 or 3 people have actually jumped into my streams. Maybe in a little while, Cloud Brooks. It's okay. You know, we'll get it figured out eventually. It's okay. I just, I have a lot of experience with Hell for Gamers and Richard Lash, and we've hung out a lot. So that's why I'm going ahead and letting them. But, you know, Cloud Brooks, if you come along and hang out more in my streams and kind of buddy around with us and just kind of hang out a bit more, I think I might trust you with a wrench in a little while, okay? So you just keep on kicking it with us. Just keep being yourself, having a good time, and I promise you that you'll probably eventually get a wrench. So just kind of kick it with us for a while, you know? So going back to my, I trust you guys. I know a lot of you guys very well. So, and like I said, if you hang out in here, I haven't had very many people come in here that I don't know very well, which is why I'm being very generous with the wrenches right now. You know, we'll probably get to a point where we'll have a lot more people coming in that I don't know very well. And I'm just going to, you know, trust you guys to stay on top of it. Oh, it's okay, Cloud Brooks. Well, you know what, dude? Like I said, like I'll be straight up with you. If you come in and you hang out with us a lot more, I'll probably give you a wrench. Like you just kind of have to chill with us a bit longer, and you know, have some fun with us, and I'll probably give you something like that. And I want you guys also to know, because I mean, I feel like that a lot of the other streams we hang out in have established this very well. Guys, keep in mind that a wrench is it's not like a status, it's a responsibility. So, you know, if we start getting noobs in here who start acting like jerks, I'm going to really depend on you guys to be able to hammer them down when they start acting like jerks. And another reason why I'm really glad to have you guys in here with wrenches also is because I can't really pay attention to what messages are being filtered through. So if I can have you guys staying on top of making sure that messages are getting filtered through properly, that would be really awesome. I appreciate all of you. So we'll just keep doing our thing, and wrenches will be distributed as we go along. Most of you I trust, but, you know, we'll just kind of keep working on it. And, you know, like I said, we'll have more people coming in as we go along, and I trust you guys to, you know, do the right thing. And like I said, like I know a lot of you very well because, you know, I'm a wrench alongside of you guys in multiple streamers. So, and you guys are you guys are very good wrench, you guys are very good moderators from what I've seen, which is, you know, why I'm giving you guys the power to do so, because I trust you guys. So anyways, I'm adding, well, not adding, I'm actually subtracting paint from the sides of my borders just to make them look nicer. The wet toothpick is where it's going to get it done, and that's what it's for, and I like it a lot. And I'm just kind of, you know, erasing these little areas here that kind of look ugly, just to kind of make it look really nice, you know? And all right, there we go. And this little spot right here is kind of irritating me as well. Just right there. And I think that looks really nice. I think that looks really nice, and I think I'm pretty much done with it. All right, guys, so there's our Kiln Fiend. Looking pretty damn nice. Looking flamey and hot. And ready to eat up all those instants and start messing people up. So I'm willing to read a few of your guys' comments before I actually wrap up the stream. So let's take a look here. Turned on notifications and started the stream I did. Okay. Mike hasn't given me a wrench yet, but I think he feels fully covered. I assume if he doubled his viewers, I'd probably... Oh, yeah, I wouldn't... Yeah, definitely don't take that personally, Hell for Gamers. It actually, like, I mean, I've been a wrench for a while in Mike's streams, it definitely took some time before he actually gave me a wrench, which I was okay with because when he originally first gave me a wrench, it really surprised me because I actually thought that I wasn't up for the task because I actually kind of saw being a moderator as a very heavy-duty task. In fact, actually, I believe that Mike Hatcher's stream, like his YouTube channel in general, is the first thing I've ever been a moderator on ever. Like, there's been a lot of websites and I've been a part of, like, you know, forums and things like that, but I've never been a moderator. And I've always gotten along with a lot of the moderators on those various sites that I've been on, but I've never actually been a moderator. And there was also one website that offered me the ability to be a moderator it was a completely different website. And I actually turned it down, and I told them because it seemed like it was a lot of responsibility and I didn't think I was up to the task. And when Mike Hatcher first gave me a wrench on his channel, I wasn't totally sure how to feel about it. I actually was worried that I wasn't able to do a good job as a moderator because I didn't have any experience and I wasn't very good at that kind of stuff. But he actually laid it down for me, and he was like, "Listen, like, I'm giving you this wrench because I trust you, and I'm hoping that." And he said one of the things about me giving you a wrench is because I don't think you'll use it that often, and I think that that you would use a wrench when it's absolutely necessary. And I mean, obviously, like, there have been some times where I've stepped out of my league. Like, for example, if you guys were in today's stream for my catcher, I kind of stepped out of my bounds a little bit and went a little bit too far, and I felt bad about it. I even went out of my way after the stream to contact Mike on Discord, and I apologized to him. I said, like, I admit I stepped out of my boundaries, and I explained to him why I timed out that guy because that guy was a troublemaker in the past, and I was really worried that he was going to start trouble again. Goaty Goat knows what I'm talking about because Goat was the first guy that interacted with that guy who was causing problems. And I was really uncomfortable with that guy because he came in today's stream and he was being very nice to start with, but I also was very aware that that's kind of what he did in the previous stream right before he got really nasty. So that's why I was kind of saying to myself, well, I should nip this in the bud and just, time him out immediately. And obviously that was not the smart decision on my part. And I will admit it was a mistake. And I will admit that I went ahead and I apologized for it. So I'm just going to be a lot more careful with that. I'm probably going to try to label when I've actually in the past in my catcher streams have overstepped my boundaries as a moderator before. And what I really like, though, is that Mike goes ahead and lets me know that I'm stepping outside of my boundaries. And he's very cool about it, and he understands, why I make those mistakes. And I really appreciate that. But I also try to, when I do make mistakes like that, like I've done in the past, I generally will try to lay off on being more heavy in moderating. And because, I just want everything to go really smooth. And I really, one of my things too is that I really don't want Mike to get frustrated with his stream or people in his stream unless he absolutely has to. Like, there are some things that I'll let slide specifically for the purpose of Mike himself handling it. And sometimes there are things that I won't moderate myself because I'm just not sure if it's going to bother him or not. And then, if it does bother him, he takes care of it himself. And that's the way that I'm going to have to go with it in the future as well, is I'm going to have to let a lot more things slide and just let Mike take care of it, because I was very unsure about multiple things that were happening in the stream. And I stepped over my boundaries to, hit somebody with the wrench. And then on top of that, there was somebody who was causing trouble, and I didn't hit them with the wrench. And Mike had to do it himself. So I think what I'm just going to do for a while is I'm just going to let things slide. And anything that is very obviously a problem, I'll try to hit. But otherwise, I'm just going to let it slide and let Mike handle it himself, because he seems to be a little more comfortable with doing that on his own lately. And that's good. That's very good. I don't want to have to keep doing that for him all the time. And as much as I wish that I can constantly protect him from what I think is a problem, I have to accept the fact, too, as well, that he is a very smart man who has very good control over his stream, and he knows how to recognize what is actually a problem, and he knows how to handle it on his own. And I need to not get in the way with that. And that's okay. That actually takes a lot of stress off of me as well, because that means that I don't have to read everything and pass everything and hit everything, because I know that I can just let it slide and Mike will deal with it if it's necessary. So let me go ahead and read a little bit more. And Cinder didn't give me one. Oh, that's okay, Goat. You just got to see. The thing is I also noticed that Cinder has been a lot more strict with divvying out wrenches. I got a wrench at a very early time in his stream when Cinder was a lot smaller. And it's literally that I didn't even expect to get a wrench from Cinder. I just liked hanging out with him. Like, that's why I go into his streams. I legitimately just want to hang out with him. But the thing is that Cinder kind of explained to me as well that he appreciated the level of moderating that I was doing for Mike Hatcher. And he kind of said, like, I want you to be a moderator, and I think you have a good handle on this, so you're getting a wrench. And then he started noticing that, and by the way, Cinder is getting very, very popular, and that's awesome. And I think that's also why he's kind of being a little bit more careful about distributing wrenches, is because when your popularity begins to grow, you have to be careful a little bit more with who you trust with wrench powers. So, you know, if you just keep sticking around, he might trust you with a wrench eventually. And, you know, I think he's just a little bit more careful with who he trusts. So, you know, you might get a wrench eventually, because I think you do just fine, Hell for Gamers. I think you're a great guy. Oh, well, I mean, Hell for Gamers has a wrench. I'm talking about Wild Goat. I meant to talk about Goaty Goat. I'm sorry. But yeah, you know, if you keep hanging out with Cinder a lot more frequently, he might give you a wrench, because you're a good dude, Goat. You know, I think you're a good dude. Let's see. I've said it before. You're a god level moderator. I don't often use my powers, but I'm willing to bet 3 out of 4 times I have gone to use it, Mr. Habanero. There, beats me to the punch. Yeah, I just, you know, I tend to kind of jump on things really quick. And the thing is, too, is that I'm like, a lot of the time, I feel like the reason why I can beat people to the punch when it comes to moderating, I'm a very fast reader. I read very, very quickly. And I'm also, like, I do a lot of what Mike Hatcher does. In fact, actually, I would say Mike Hatcher's better at it than I am. And that is, Mike reads everything. And there are times where I can't even read everything. Like, even in my own streams with the small amount of people hanging out in here, I can't read everything. I try to, but it's hard. And he reads absolutely everything. But when I see something that looks very iffy, I can read it very, very fast and find words very quickly that say to me that somebody is causing trouble. And that's why I'm able to hit somebody so quick, is because I read very quick and I find the words that are causing problems, and I go ahead and just eliminate them. Driving home when you timed that dude out, I would have doubled it if I was. It's okay, Goat. It's good that you didn't. I don't want you to go down the path that I went down, which was you know, Mike called me out, and he had every right to do so. I pushed it a bit far. I timed that guy out despite the fact that he did not actually do anything offensive. And that is not okay on my part. I made a mistake. Even though that guy has a history of causing trouble, I had no right to time him out because he did not say anything wrong. I hold grudges. I'm very good at remembering people that cause distress, and I tend to hold grudges. I can remember names of people that cause problems, and then I keep an eye out for them. And that's why I timed that guy out, because I had a grudge. I had a grudge against him because he caused a lot of trouble for both you and me, and I didn't want him doing that, despite the fact that he came in and played it safe. And him playing it safe was smart, and I should not have done that. So that's how that is. Cinder has also come under fire from BS2, so I think he is already a little right on handing out things that could hurt him for his. Yes, I agree. He's been under fire a bit from a lot of large Magic communities, and that's terrible. Cinder is a fantastic guy. He's very passionate about Magic. He's very fun. He's good at what he does, and I really wish him all the best. I really want him to get successful and bigger and have a larger fan base, because he's a great guy and he does fun things, and I really do find him very entertaining. I legitimately do. And I want him to grow, and it sucks that there are these people who want to treat him as badly as they do. So, you know, we just got to stay on top of it and make sure that, you know, we can protect him as best as we can. I feel that we've been relatively lucky that we haven't had people coming in and really harassing Cinder. So I haven't really had to lay down the hurt on anybody in Cinder streams, which is great. but I also do want him to grow bigger. And if he does grow bigger, we're probably going to have to step in a bit more and lay down the hurt on some people. So, yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. It was fun having you guys come in. I had a great time. Thank you all so much for coming out. I've never heard, where are you from? Oh, so I live in Sandpoint, Idaho. And Sandpoint is a very small town. It's at the top of the panhandle of Idaho. And I'm about 10 miles from the Canadian border. So I live very close to Canada. So yeah, that's where I'm from. That's where I live. I'm originally from California, and I moved here back in 2014. So I've been living here since 2014, and I really enjoy this place. I like it a lot. I do want to eventually leave Idaho. I have big plans in my future to where I'm like 1 hour drive from okay, all right. I have big plans for where I'm going in the future. I don't plan to stay in this area of Idaho forever. But first I have to, keep following the path that I'm on. And Oklahoma. All right, go. Very nice. Oh, thank you, Rebecca. You have a great night. So I do have to wrap this up, guys. I had a great time with you guys. I'm really glad you all got to come out here and hang out with me and watch me paint this Kiln Fiend. So I'm just going to wrap it up. I'm going to go ahead and say, check out my DeviantArt page for all my art. This Kiln Fiend here will be on there very soon. Feel free to contact me on Discord. I put it out there for you guys so that you guys can contact me. If you like what I did here today, feel free to subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. My streams will generally be happening on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Sundays, and Mondays. So I'll see you guys during those streams, and I'll wrap it up with saying, follow your dreams, guys, and wherever that may take you, it'll get you right to where you need to be. So you guys have a great day, and I will see you later, okay? Bye.